So January 2026, it's another inflection point where we go from chatting to orchestrating. The release of tools that can access the local files in your system, control video physics with Runway 4.5. It's just another step for executing work, not just drafting ideas, not just brainstorming. Hey everyone, welcome to AI for Creators. We've got a very interesting week. We've got massive updates that are really changing the way people work with Claude Code, or should we call it Claude for Computer, and then also just some awesome updates with Runway 4.5, some beautiful imagery coming out of that. So the era of agentic orchestration, what does that mean? Basically, there's a lot we can do now with things like Claude Code, Runway 4.5, and stringing things together as systems. So Claude Coworker, just new release, can give you agentic control over your local files. So you can start to build systems inside your computer or clean up files or just sort of, have AI helping you more carefully run things inside your own workflows inside your own computer. Runway 4.5 is giving you this very directorial precision with videos. Google Personal Intelligence is giving deeper user context. So what are we looking at now? What is this all about? So we could say the rise of the AI coworker. Maybe that's a bit hyped, but Anthropic is a very powerful tool. We've seen that with Opus 4.5 encoding, and now we're seeing that with a local agent on the system, right? So Coworker can get your local file systems. It can use terminal. It can go to the downloads folder. It can do skills, Claude skills, like little packages of information that tell kind of what Claude can do. So basically, what we're seeing a lot is Claude is becoming more efficient, right? And then it can synthesize hours and hours of data and audio in like 15 minutes, right? Transcripts, whatever. So if you've got a bunch of stuff sitting in your computer, you can start to get organized. So what does it mean here? We've got vibe coding, where you type what you're kind of looking for and to build apps. And it's the democratization of engineering. I mean, just people are able to create their own stuff, right? Building software by describing it, rather than writing the syntax. So for example, you can make an expense tracker that scans receipts. Replit can build it, and now they can deploy it. So a lot of the new vibe coding tools don't just build sort of like front end, but they're now more integrated. Some even have some back end connections, and then can also actually deploy to, like, let's say, the App Store, stuff like that. So I think what I heard someone was saying is that it's great, and now I think that even App Stores are going to have a lot more filtration about what's good, because so many people are going to start to be able to build apps. You could do a personal finance dashboard, mobile game, expense report tool. So let's look at this. Runway 4.5 just released image to video. You could call it the synthetic cinematographer or the eye of the orchestrator. Basically, you're getting some of that direct precision. You're getting some of that control. You're getting that consistency, right? We're getting to that place where the images are consistent. They're cinematic. Things are adhering to the prompts. The videos look like, what was it, a recent study? Or I don't know, they did something recent where 90% of the people who were watching, like, for example, a Runway 4.5 video, 90% couldn't tell it was AI. So we're already getting to that point. And if you look at some of their demo videos for Runway 4.5, it's pretty amazing. And they're kind of like exciting and scary at the same time. So you've got this first frame conditioning, maintains the art direction in the first frame. You can control orbit, whip, pan. I saw some really cool demos with whip pan. And it also is better with the parallax effect, so less like floaty, morphy AI and more like true parallax effects. And it's got, it's getting really good reviews. What could like a case study for this example look like? So let's say you get a prototype photo, you put it into Runway 4.5 and you have it to do the orbit effect. It becomes some studio B-roll for the company. You could build out brand elements and design and frames how you want, right? Another workflow could be, for example, a deep research storyboard. You do have Claude scan the web, do deep research. It could then, from those deep research, you could create an automation where you do prompt generation. So you create some prompts from Midjourney. If you don't know what Midjourney is, that's where you can do some images, but you can also do that in Gemini. You can also do that in a lot of different places. But so, for example, Nano Banana Pro, Midjourney. Now, my feeling with that is that, yes, you could do all that, but at this point, unless you want it to be slop, or you have a very good automation system, You'll still need to put light to medium touch of your input. The battle for personal context, right? So a utility is capped by access to user data. Who owns a context layer? So a lot of the models, right? And you've already seen this with ChatGPT with memory, right? And then Claude built that in. So who can kind of get the most information on people, but also be the most helpful? Google, which I'm in, already has Gmail, Photos, Drive, YouTube. It's got a lot, right? OpenAI has your chat history. They're moving into the health app, and they've got the voice mode. And this really caught a lot of data from people. And of course, they're still the number one AI app. And then Apple has the hardware, the iMessage, and the AirPods. So sort of that physical context, always on sensing through current, basically. So yeah, let's see what happens. ChatGPT is starting to roll out ads. Why is that significant? So Google search has a conversion of 1.7%. ChatGPT has a 16% conversion. For those of you who work in marketing, that's insane. Never seen, I can't think of anything that high, right? Let's say like giving away free money. The promise is the ads are helpful, but people might start to lose the trust and treat it more like just a regular platform and maybe block it or pay for it, whatever. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So the hardware frontier, what could, like, for example, Apple be doing, right? There's this idea that we don't know what these next AI tools might be that sort of listen to your whole day and then give you outputs and summaries. But Apple already has essentially that in your ears if people are using that. I was even hearing that, basically it's a socially accepted thing with the earbuds, right? So you could kind of leave them on and gather that data. Other AI companies have been suggesting wearables. And I think there's these prototypes that we don't always know, but like sort of this always on capture to kind of help you get through the day. So up on the screen, you see that there's this leadership mandate for the CEOs, right? That you need to be focusing on what you can be building with AI, with automations for the company, and that top-down approach, of course, is going to impact everyone in the company. And of course, people need to understand how to do these things. Do they, are they being trained? Are they being given access to test these out and try things? And I guess the important thing right now is it's not just testing anymore, it's orchestrating. What systems, what things can we build to be put in place? So with all this AI, how do we use it but still keep it real? Because we know that's a trend, a top trend for 2026 is that authenticity matters. People want to see the real. So you still have that human insight. You've got interviews, you've got just on the ground stuff that's real, or some event, or just some authentic, unique human insight or activity, right? And then you've got the middle, the meat. This is where the AI comes in to help. It can do the transcription, the formatting. It can, make different assets for you from something that you create that is really you. And then it could do some summarization. It could even vibe code an app for you that's somehow relevant, like to you and the company. And then there's that final polish, right? The voice, the verification, the vibe check. Does it feel right? Does it feel good? Does it feel like something other people would even want to watch or consider? And then, of course, you have to check it for facts. So what about China? The global landscape is changing. China is catching up to the US fast, maybe just months behind, right? And we already know that they have very capable infrastructure to build out things like robots. They've got open source models that a lot of people are adopting. So the technology and the capabilities of the AI models are just months behind of what the US is doing, but maybe it's no longer the model, but the workflow. So will the US stay ahead? What does that mean? Who's winning the AI race? Doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't know that full answer. So strategic checklist for 2026 is, definitely adopt vibe coding. It's getting more and more powerful. You can start doing mobile apps. You can do things for the company. Try to implement agentic workflows. Basically move from chat file systems to something like Claude Code. Test it out. It's on the system. What can you use it for? How can it speed things up? And how can it make things better, right? Well, you want to use AI to make things better, not just faster. And then also secure the context, meaning like where does the data live? How are we using it? How are we doing things with the regulations in place? And then prioritize authenticity, right? We've got to be real. People are going to vibe more towards authenticity in 2026. There's going to be a a holdout on that. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a mix of a lot of different things, but authenticity, of course, still matters. What's the conclusion with all this? So the winning agencies in 2026 won't be the ones generating the most content, but one that orchestrating the most effective agents and bringing that human authenticity. Try some AI video. What can you do with Runway 4.5 or VO 3.1? You've got that control now. You've got to test it out. It looks amazing. It's not about the tool, it's about the context you give it, and it's potentially about the automations you build. Also, if you guys want to have more insights, you guys can check out Click to View's Creator Weekly. Goes out each week, a curated list of kind of what's important for this week for creators. All right, everyone, thanks a lot.